Welcome to Remote Learning. For this lesson, we'll look at the plot of Macbeth. For this lesson, all you'll need is a piece of pen and paper or a Word document open, and of course, your brain. So what are we learning today? Well, in this lesson, we're going to begin a new text called Macbeth by William Shakespeare and explore the key plot points in the play. So why we learn this? Well, it's important that we understand and have an overall knowledge of the sequence of events, as it's key to understanding the motivations of Macbeth. So how does this fit into our learning journey? Well, this lesson is our first lesson of Macbeth, where we're going to look at key events in the play. And next lesson, we'll look at the main character of Macbeth. So our learning objectives today, guys, is to secure an understanding of the overall plot of the play and how the sequence of events contribute to the tragic end. We will then consolidate our knowledge in an independent task. So the first thing we're going to do is a starter, so we infer plot from an image. Then for the second, guys, we're going to look at a new skill or vocabulary. Then for the third thing, guys, is teacher-led, so I'm going to introduce some new learning, modelling or check understanding. And then the fourth part, guys, is a student-led task, so an independent task that I'll send you away to do. Okay guys, for our starter, can you look at this image for me? So on a lined piece of paper or in a Word document, can you write what you can infer about the story of Macbeth? So I'll put a sentence start on the side to help you if you wish to use it. So from this image, I can infer that Macbeth could be about ... If you finish, perhaps focus on the background elements and write down how this can allude to the tone of the play. This task should take no more than 5 minutes. Okay guys, so instead of using an image to infer elements of the plot of Macbeth, now I want you to use this poem. So Macbeth was a soldier, brave and bold, until he had his fortune told. Those 3 strange women messed up his head, and pretty soon the king was dead. His wife was keen to be a queen, horrors followed, Banquo's ghost was seen. Macduff's family were cruelly killed, until the tyrant's blood was spilled. As for Macbeth, his head was chopped, the only way he could be stopped. Now, using this poem, I want you to answer these 5 questions in full sentences. Okay, so number 1, how is Macbeth described at the beginning? Number 2, what did the strange women do to Macbeth? Number 3, who is the tyrant? Number 4, what did Lady Macbeth want? And question 5, what happened to Macbeth at the end? This task should take no more than 6 minutes. Okay guys, so Macbeth is a 5-act play and it's actually one of Shakespeare's most well-known tragedies. So a tragedy is a drama or literary work in which the main character suffers a downfall, especially as a consequence of a tragic flaw. So likely written in 1606, Macbeth is set in medieval Scotland and is loosely based on a true historical account. So the play tells of a bloody rise to power and the tragic downfall of the warrior Macbeth. So the play is clearly associated with the reigning monarch at the time, so James I, and he's also known as James VI of Scotland. And he was also the patron of Shakespeare's company, the King's Men. So this play was clearly designed to please James I because it explores a piece of Scottish history. So as we go through the plot of Macbeth, guys, I want you to make brief notes on your timeline. So please ensure that you make brief notes, as loads of writing is really hard to remember when you come to revise for your exam. Okay, and for a challenge, as we go through the plot, can you highlight the key characters in each of these scenes? So let's start, guys. So Macbeth, the Thane of Glamis, so Thane is a lord, and his best friend Banquo has just finished at a battle and on their way home when they meet 3 witches. So the witches tell Macbeth that he will become Thane of Cawdor and also the King of Scotland. As you can imagine, Macbeth is surprised by this, and they tell Banquo that his descendants will become kings. So soon, the king makes Macbeth the Thane of Cawdor because he was so brave in battle. So Macbeth is getting excited now and happy because the predictions seem to be coming true. So Banquo, however, is not so sure and is quite wary of the witches. So Macbeth writes to tell his wife, Lady Macbeth, who also gets excited at the prospect of becoming queen. So much so, in fact, that when she hears that Macbeth is coming to their house, or castle in this case, she plots to kill him so Macbeth can become king, just like the witches said. So Lady Macbeth summons evil spirits to help her kill the king, but she talks Macbeth into actually doing the deed. So Macbeth stabs King Duncan to death, and Lady Macbeth frames these servants for the crime by putting daggers next to them. So the next morning, Macduff arrives, and he's the one who discovers King Duncan's body. So Macbeth now kills the king's servants, so they do not say they were innocent. So Macbeth tells everyone that he killed them as he was angry that they killed the king. So King Duncan's sons, Malcolm and Donalbain, run far away in case someone wants to kill them too, but no one is actually sure who killed the king. However, Macbeth is crowned king because Donalbain and Malcolm have made themselves suspects by running away. So Macbeth now knows the two predictions have come true, but he also remembers the other prediction about Banquo's sons becoming kings. So Macbeth feels threatened here and decides that Banquo and his son Fleance must die too. However, the plan goes a bit wrong, so Banquo dies but Fleance escapes. So whilst at a royal feast, Banquo's ghost comes back and scares Macbeth, so people think he's gone mad as they can't see the ghost. So Lady Macbeth tells everyone to go home, and Macbeth is in such a mess that he visits the witches again to see what they can predict for him now. So this time the witches say three things to Macbeth. So the first is that you'll be safe until the forest comes to Dunsinane, which is Macbeth's castle. This is such a strange thing to say that Macbeth feels safe, as he cannot think at how an entire forest can move. So then the second thing they say is, no one born of woman will be able to kill you. So Macbeth starts to feel even more secure now, as he cannot think of anyone who is not birthed by a woman. And the third is simply, beware Macduff. So Macbeth starts to think about the witch's predictions, and he feels quite secure as her forest can't move and everyone must be born of woman. However, the beware Macduff warning plays on his mind, so Macduff at this time is away in England, but Macbeth has his family killed anyway just to be sure. So Macduff hears about the killings, and he's so angry he gets together with Malcolm, so King Duncan's oldest son, and they gather an army together to seize back the throne from Macbeth. So when they're ready to attack Macbeth's castle, they hide behind branches of trees which they use as camouflage, and notice the witch's predictions of the moving forest. So meanwhile, Lady Macbeth is also losing her mind. As a result of all the killings, she feels guilty and has started sleepwalking and talking to herself and washing imaginary blood from her hands. So she says one of the play's most famous lines, so out damn spot, so meaning get clean. She eventually feels so guilty she kills herself off screen. So finally, Macbeth and Macduff meet on the battlefield. So during the fight, Macduff reveals he was born of caesarean section and therefore was not born of a woman, just like the witches said. So Macbeth realises he is doomed and Macduff kills him. So Malcolm becomes king and makes a big speech to everyone that everything will be alright. So in this speech he calls the Macbeths the dead butcher and his fiend-like queen, and then invites everyone to come and see him crowned at Scone Castle. So guys, now I want you to consolidate your knowledge of the plot by creating a storyboard of the key events in Macbeth. So this can be hand-drawn, created in Word or another program, or created using storyboardthat.com. So the link is available on the top bar of this slide. Please ensure your work is saved and emailed to your English teacher where possible. If you are writing on paper, please keep these safely stored for when you return to school.